Hello and welcome to a new episode of Developing Shadows End. Today I want to introduce to you my skill system, and what our skill system should be able to do, of course, is to, on the one hand, increase our character's attributes. I can press the tab key to switch between the three characters here, and for each character I can, depending on their attributes, I can increase their hit points, stamina, physical damage, and so on, as long as I have some attribute points. And with my skill points, I can choose some cool skills. Here in the first row, I have some weapon skills. Then here I have some weapon utility skills and some weapon specializations, like being able to bash with maces. And tier 4 should be for crafting skills, which I'm not doing, which is something for the main game, so it's not on my to-do list right now, because right now I'm focusing on creating a battle system. It's already a lot in here. So we have 2 canvas, each consisting of several images. We have a lot of attributes, and we have a lot of images here, and also look at all things going on in this window. When I hover over this icon, we have another window opening up, showing us the skill, showing us a description of the skill, and also there is this 0 out of 4, and if I click on this, I want to activate the skill, and the skill level goes up. And we can do this for every skill, because I gave this characters enough level to being able to skill everything. If I would go, for example, to this character, his level is not high enough, he can only go up to tier 3 skills. So let's go back to this character, and there's also this thing here. For here it says increase damage with a certain magic elements, so it should not be increasing all elements damage, but only third. So when I click this, here is something special. Here's a drop down. It's on arcane, but I can click this, and here I can choose between all the elements. So I can go to air and say yes, and now it says increase damage with air magic. So now I can increase this further. So, and when I reach the highest level, it gets green. Now I can't click it anymore. So I want to have these abilities. I want to have a description of the abilities. I want to get this when I hover over it. I want to be able to click it, and I don't want to be able to click it when I reach max level. And also, for example, for this magicians, you can see this is illuminated, and this is very gray. So a lot of things are gray here. So this is a magician and a mage, and he can skill working with a pike, but he cannot learn to fight with axes, for example. Here you see his skill level is -1, and since it's gray, when I click it, nothing happens. So these are the things our skill system should do. And this is what I want to go over you with in this video. Okay, then let's have a look how this looks in our editor. If you're working on the canvas, since it's a screen overlay, since it's 2D, you probably want to push this 2D button here, so you have a nice view on it. Okay, I actually have 4 canvases in this picture. One canvas is this battle UI, which we are not focused on today. Then I have the stats canvas. I have the skill canvas, and when I click something here, like you've seen before, when I want to activate the skill, when I click this here, this window opens. So this canvas actually reaches all over the screen to make it this way that I cannot click anything else. I have to click yes or no to be able to click something again. So still now we have 3 canvases. So let's take a look at these 3 canvases. Let's start with the stats canvas. So you can just right click in the hierarchy UI and get a canvas or get an image. So you get something like this. Here I have just this gray background image. Of course, you need your own graphics to do this. But you can, like I did in my previous videos, you can just start by getting some material on it, just make it black or red or whatever color you like. Here I made not one text field and put all in this. These are all several text fields. There are 2 reasons for it. The first reason is I want to be able to position every text field correctly. And the next thing is I want to be able to edit every field by itself. For example, if I want to increase the hit points of the character, I don't want to go into every number and search for the position of this specific number. No, I want to get access directly to this number. So I have all these different images, or in this case, this is the Text Mesh Pro text field, where I just put my canvas down, my image for the background, and I have some additional images, as you can see here. This is a little darker, this also, and this as well. So these are just darker images I put in there to make it look a little bit more partitioned. So, and I also have the title fields. Here I also have another text field with the numbers, and that's merely it. So I have all these little text fields, and all the names have an additional text field attached to it for the numbers I put into them. And also I have this as additional text field, the attribute buttons, which are these little pluses, which are only activated if we are in the skill system, because this the attributes are also shown when we're in the inventory system, but that we don't want to be able to change them. They are for the skill system. Okay, and we get to this later. So this is the setup in the editor. We have a lot of name fields, buttons for the stats, and yeah, for these we just make a UI text mesh. For the image, just an image, and for the buttons, of course, we can just take a button. So, and like these are buttons, and they are referring to the skill system. So you can take the object with the skill system in it, like this one, drag it over here, and and then you can choose. This is working for each button, for every button, and then you can choose the function in this. Or like here, I go to skill system, and you see these are all the function all the public function I have in the skill systems, and then I have the parameter which I give in. So like here, always think about this beforehand. How many parameters do I need? Where do I start? Am I starting from parameter 0? Am I starting am I going to 8 or 20 or whatever? Because this is important for your structure of the script as well. Okay, so this is the editor setup. So let's have a look in our script. Here in our skill system, let's start with the update window. So update unit stats. So here you can see I have all these text fields. Of course, this have to be public objects in this script. So you have all these public TMP text fields with their names, and the fields for the skill levels and all the numbers. Of course, if you want to use less variables here, declare less variables, you could also do this with a list. But I thought it might be better not using a list here, because this way, instead of have unit number 1, 2, and so on, or whatever the list is called, this way it's easy for me to see when I take a look at the code what number exactly I want to change here. So now even if I look at this in 1 year, I still see very quickly what is done here. So here I have the fields if the stat buttons are active or not. So to be able to update the unit stats, I need the stat buttons to click on them. And then here I update all the numbers. So I get stats is the script of the unit, which contains all the data about the unit. And if the attribute points are 0, we don't show the stat buttons. Of course, if the character has no attribute points, there is nothing to upgrade, so we want it to be active false. So, and here are the skill points, word skill, and so on. Okay, and here, this is where we actually increase the stats. You can see here we had, if we're going back to our buttons, increase stats, and if we're clicking the HP button, we are giving over the number 1, and every other button has its own number here. So this is something you can do with buttons. You can call a public function, and you can give it one parameter or nothing. In this case, we are having the button index. We are getting the character stats, and the character stats are the character stats from the unit selections, which is our control system, which when I start the game, for example, I pressed K to get into the skill systems. This is done in the unit selection functions. And from the unit list, so all units, I'm getting the unit that is currently selected and get its component fighter, which is the script which contains its data. So, of course, when I click the attribute, increase an attribute, I reduce the attribute points, and depending on which button was pressed, the stats get increased, and we are going into our update unit stats, which I've shown you a few moments ago, where the new stats are being shown. And here you can already see something related to our skill system. Here is normally we would increase our HP by 10 if we click the HP button, but it also gets increased by 2 for each point we have in Lionheart skill. And also the current HP get increased. And similar for the Marathoner skill, our stamina gets increased. So here we already have something that is a little bit not complex but complicated, because we have to always have this in mind where all the skills are going. Okay, but this is mainly everything that has to be done about the attribute points. Very simple. We are setting up our images, putting text fields on it, having text fields for the names, and attached to them we have text fields displaying the number, which is the stat. Then have a look at the more complex thing, which is the skill system. Again, the setup in the editor is the same. We are having a background image, we are having little text fields here to explain what is here, and then we have the little icons for our skills, but as you probably expect, now it's getting a little bit more complicated. There are these red fields attach to the tiers. This I call the block image. And this is removed if the character has a certain level. And then we can see the skills. Here we have all the icons, and all the icons have attached to them an image. And what's more important, they have attached to them an event trigger. So instead of a button, you can also use event trigger. Just add a component, and here you can find event trigger. I don't have to add it because we already have it. So in our skill tree, I just put in images here and added an event trigger to them. Here we have several functions. The first is pointer enter. So this is for our hover. If our mouse enters the coordinates of this image, we are calling this function hover over skill. If our mouse enters the image coordinates, we are calling the exit function. As you can see, this has no parameter, and this is because if we exit the function, we just want to close the hover window. So we don't need a parameter for this. But of course, if we open the window, as you've seen before, I want to get the description, the name, I want to get the level of this skill. So I have to reference the parameter. And of course, as well as if we click this, increase skill 1, then why this is called skill 1 I will show you later. There we also have to reference the parameter. Okay, and this is all the same for every of these images. Okay, so this is our skill system structure, and we also have inside this canvas we have another canvas where we have this. For example, this one, and here you can see everything gets a little bit gray here in the background because this has the full screen width. This is to block everything, so the player's only able to click yes or no here and nothing else. And there is this hover image, as you can see here. This is the image with a text field, and in this text field we are writing our description. We have our element dropdown field. This is where I'm doing the dropdown. This is also just called dropdown. You can just right click UI and dropdown, and you can add as much options as you like. I cannot show every detail here because this would make the videos 3 hours or more long. But if you have some questions, feel free to ask in the comments later. Let's take a look at this hover first, and then let's go over the skills. Simples first, hover exit. So if we exit an image, the hover over image object will be deactivated. That's simply that. If we go over an image, we set the hover over image true. We make like this, that the image will be below our mouse pointer. So we set the y coordinate to -200. So this is a vector 3. And then I put the hover over image position to our mouse position and the image disposition. I have this, I could actually just call a vector 3 here, but I have this depending on the size. So if I decide, for example, to put this further down the screen, then maybe I want to switch the hover over image to left or right or bottom or top, depending where my mouse is. And I can do this with checking on the mouse position and changing the image disposition for this. But as it is right now, I only need this simple disposition. Okay, and depending on the image, each image references a different parameter. So we are using a switch here, which refers to the index number of the button, and here are all the descriptions. and I used color green for the name of the description, remove the color, skip the line, and then the rest of the text follows. And for skills with different skill levels, we are getting the stat of the character. For example, for the sword skill, of course, the sword skill. And then again, we remove the color green and skip the line, and the rest of the description follows. And yeah, we have the same for every for every skill. So again, you should think about it a little bit beforehand, because you don't want to change all the skills over and over again. I will probably change it, but hopefully not too often, so I don't have to change everything over and over again. So this is already the whole thing with the hover over the buttons. If I enter a picture, this function is called, and the hover over image is called to the mouse position minus 200 in the y coordinate, and the text specific for each image is called. Okay, so now we get to the skills, and again, you have unlimited options to set this up. I defined 3 colors. So I showed you for the mages, there are a lot of skills you can't choose. So if the character skill level is -1, I use the previously defined color skill not available, which I choose to be some grayish color. If we are reaching the maximum skill level, which should be here the same number as in this description, then we are having our greenish color, which is the color skill upgraded. And in between we are using the color transparent. So this is why we have a second image attached to all our images, because above the icon images I'm using these colors to tell the player if they can activate the skill, if the skill is already maxed out or not. And again, we are doing this for every skill. And here I actually used a list for all the images, because yeah, I'm using all the skills over and over again. But again, I thought about how I, as you can see, this is not starting by 0 and just going up. The tier 1 skills are between 10 and 20. The tier 2 skills are between 20 and so on. So there are a few numbers missing, but this way it's easy for me to find each skill, because each skill is in this line. So if I look here, like I want to know which skill is this skill here, I can immediately see, okay, this is line 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, so its number is 34. I don't even have to look into look it up, look where I can find, oh, here was this Hawkeye skill or was it something else, and yeah, this is the right image, and okay, yeah, it's 34. Now I can just, with one look onto the screen, I can see, okay, this is 25, for example, and so on. So before you doing a list, before you decide not to do a list, think about how you want to find your stuff again later on, because sometimes you stop working on your program, on your stuff, depending if you're doing this as your main job or if you're doing this just as a hobby, as the most of us probably do. So in that case, you maybe haven't had a look at something like this for a few months, and then it's always good to have a simple structure you can find your way through. So this is for the player to see which color is shown, so he knows if he can upgrade the skill or if it is maximum skill or not. We have the hover over, the hover exit, and the increase skill. So if I click onto an image and the image is not green and not gray, we could see here that it's checked, then something should happen. So let's go in here. This is the function called increase skill 1 with the button index. If the skill points are bigger than 0, and if the color is not available and not upgraded, so it's not the maximum color and it's not the not available color. So using these colors here allows me to check for all skills the same. It doesn't matter if a skill can be upgraded 1 time or 10 times. It still has the same colors if it is max upgraded or not. So I don't have to check for each skill individually which upgrade numbers it has. I just check for the colors, and the color is always called when calling the inventory screen or after a skill has been upgraded, because like the name of the function is, it's update unit stats. Each time the skills are updated, the colors are called again. Okay, so if it's not available and it's not upgraded to its maximum, we are checking if it's the last index number, because there we have this drop-down menu. So for the elementalist skill, if that's 0, we're going to the start coroutine choose element. Otherwise, we are going into increase skill step 2. And this step is where we can set this canvas true. This is the block canvas. So this one is getting set to true, so the player is not able to click anything anymore, and he has to decide if he wants to level up the skill or not. So we are using an enumerator here because we want to have this function, parallel function, and yeah, if the input is done, if the input is not done, the function is waiting, and if the input is done, we return null, and if the changes are accepted, which is when we are clicking the yes button, we are going to to increase skill 3. So here is the accept and deny. So if he clicks accept changes and input done are both true. If he clicks deny or no, accept changes is false and input done is true. As you can see here, input done will finish this function, and then if the changes are accepted, we are going into increase skill 3, or we are moving out and doing nothing. So let's go to increase skill 3, which is here, and here we are always giving from one function to another the index of the button that was clicked, and the index is the index for the skill, of course. So now we know the player has decided, yes, he wants to skill that thing, so we are removing one skill point. Then we are removing the equipped weapons. Since the player can have 2 different weapon sets equipped, we have to check which weapon set is equipped right now. And then we remove it with our weapon system. And then we increase the skill. And yeah, removing the weapon is for example, very important for the skills. Just imagine if you're increasing the sword skill. The sword skill increases the stats the character gets with the weapon. So if you have a weapon equipped and you increase the sword skill, just here nothing will happen, but when you later on remove the weapon, all the weapon stats are getting removed from the character, and since sword skill increases the stats he gets from swords, so if a sword is equipped, the character would lose more stats than he's gotten in the first hand from the weapon, because when he equipped the weapon first, he hadn't had the skill. So before increasing a skill, we are removing the weapons to apply the new skill with re-equipping the weapon after the skill has skilled up. So, and for example, for these skills, for armor habituation or armor master skill, I also went into the inventory system and wrote a function that removes all armor stats. So here, not the armor is removed, but all the stats are removed. Then the skill is applied and the armor is added again. The same principle as for the weapon skills. Armor habituation reduces the amount of stamina that it costs to wear heavy armor. So we want to put off the armor, then increase the stat, and then we want to re-equip the armor with the reduced stamina cost, or here with increased armor. And here it even gets a little bit more complicated. This is the Lionheart skill. If you may wonder if there are some rounding issues, since the character always each stat point increases the HP by 10, we have no rounding errors, because you can always add and remove 20% from 10 easily. But this is something to also keep in mind, because we use integers for all our displayed damage and armor values and so on. So if you want to reduce something or increase something, and you need to think about, should it be, is it removed and added again later? So do we save this number somewhere to get to the same number, because you don't want to have any bugs, for example, with removing and adding a skill and permanently increasing or decreasing the stats for the character by doing this. So, and we are going through all skills, and as you can see, for most skills it's just adding +1, and here, for example, we have to remove and increase the HP, and here, for example, for the unstoppable skill, we increase the move resistance here, or for the survival of the mind resistance, and here we increase the elemental skill, and also we have to check which element was chosen the first time the character increases the elementalist skill, and we also have to save which element it is the character gets a boost on. Okay, and this is practically it. When the stat is increased, we are re-equipping the weapon, we update the unit skills and the unit stats, because some we want to have the skills displayed correctly, and we also want to have the correct stats. For example, if we increase our HP, the new HP value should be stated here correctly. Okay. Here we have the weapon equip script, and when a weapon is equipped, the stats are getting loaded. If you want to see this in more detail, I can show you in another video. It's taking too long. I just want to show you on an example how we apply a skill. So, for example, weapon type 3 is the mace. So if we have increased our mace skill, or if the mace skill is -1, which means, for example, the mage has -1, he can't skill it, when we equip the weapon, we got the weapon stats, but if the character is not able to use this weapon correctly, we remove the stats again and increase the cost to attack with this weapon. If the character is able to use the weapon, instead of removing the weapon stats, we increase the weapon stats, in this case the accuracy and evasion, by 10 times the skill level. And for example, if the character also has the specialization, the Basher skill, then he also gets Bash attack, which means the character has a chance of 10% to bash when he hits the enemy and stun him for a certain amount of time. And you may wonder why here is this unequip parameter. So if we equip something, the unequip parameter is 1, so we add 10, but if we remove the weapon, we want to remove the steps. So in this case, I give reference the unequip as -1, and we are removing all the parameters. So, and as you can see in this list, there are a lot of skills applied to the weapons, which all are in the skill system. And also, of course, we have in the fighter class with, here are all the parameters for the character, which are a lot. And here we have different places where we also apply the skills. And for example, if we are going to, for example, if the mage is buff, has the buff skill, we can have a look at the attack function, which is hard to find because there, of course, the word attack is often used in this script. So, if a character is able to attack an enemy, we are going in this function, which simplified just decides if it's a ranged attack or a melee attack, because here are different actions are applied. But if it is a support attack and the character has the buffer skill, then all the different buff effects are getting increased by 20% times the buffer skill. And yeah, this is another example where a skill is implemented in another script. And yeah, you want to keep this as simple as possible. And as you can see, this is already the skill system, while having all of the skills screen, all this what is happening here in the skills system script, its action are going through all the other main scripts by applying the skill levels later. So if the player is choosing a skill here, this is all happening in the skill system. But already, for example, if I choose a weapon skill, we need to unequip and equip the weapon. So there's already a call to the weapon script, weapon equip system script. And if we are going to use something that implies armor, we are going to use the inventory skill system. Or if we have something like resistance, it changes the value of the character, which means it's going to apply something to the fighter script. So the fighter later on has a higher chance to avoid status effect. But yeah, that's it for the skill system, and I hope I got all the important points. If you have some questions about some special skills, or if you would like to know how to implement something, some special skills, or yeah, something I didn't explain good, or you want to see in more detail, please tell me in the comments below. And yeah, I hope you liked it, and I hope you tune in again. Have a nice day. Bye.